My favorite thing about Miles and Peter would definitely just be the banter. I think it's very much. Uh, I want him to teach me. I'm learning how to be Spider-Man from somebody that forgot how to be Spider-Man, and I think we bond over that. And yeah, we become very buddy buddy. I think at first it's supposed to be like an uncle and nephew thing, but then we become buddies, and it's
Yeah.
like we start seeing at the end of the movie. I was like, wow, I did some new lines too, but. It becomes more like, these guys like each other. They're cool. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I am your co-host, Marcus Flowers here, and I am joined with my co-host.
Y'all know who it is. Metro Meta, the Oracle, the one who stands above all others.
And we are here for the second edition of the Daily Planet, where we review certain topics in pop culture, such as television, TV shows, movies, comic books, etc., etc. And today we are excited. We were just so pumped after seeing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse that we had to get something off. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. Morgan, how did you feel about this?
I love the movie. I love the movie so much, and it might be my favorite movie of 2018.
Really? And why is that?
It was so. I love the storyline. I love the characters, and like I left that movie saying I want more of this, and that's what you really want in a movie. Is like especially a superhero movie, you want to leave it and go, I want more of this for the rest of my life, and that's what this movie got me. And the animation was amazing. Like Sony Animation, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with them. They went from the Emoji Movie to this, so either they got an A team or an a B team, or they just hired an entirely new staff. Because it looked like an animator's dream. It just looked like they went crazy.
Yeah, and actually, because of the success of Into the Spider Verse, Sony actually they get inventive and they seek patents from the animation tech from Into the Spider Verse. So I don't know if you know, like Pixar does this, and um, other movie animation movies have done this as well. Let me just read this. Film critics have hailed the animation in Sony Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse as a unique, innovative, and undeniably inventive. Now, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Offices will judge whether they agree with those reviews. So, Deadline has learned that Sony has applied for patent protection for the animation process and technologies used to produce Spider-Verse to Columbia Pictures, released in theaters last Thursday. So yeah, they're basically trying to basically build a universe around Miles Morales, which is great. Let me just read the synopsis. Miles Morales becomes the Spider-Man of his reality and crosses paths with his counterparts from other dimensions to stop a threat to all reality. And before we continue, I just want to let you guys know that this is a spoiler filled review. So if you don't want it spoiled, you need to stop right here. But before you go, I will say I agree with Morgan. This is one of the best movies of 2018. It was just awesome all the way around. But yeah, so moving on. Yeah, I really loved Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It was a unique take on Miles Morales, and it seemed like they took a little bit from the Spider-Man, the video game that came out earlier this year, and his origin in the comic books, which is something I really like. And I actually enjoyed this version of his origin story more than I enjoyed his origin story from the comics, just because at the end he really gets to put his name on his outfit, and it just makes sense. I also really liked how for the different origin stories they have the different comics. That was very interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. So let's break down the the Spider people they have in here. We of course got Big Head Honcho Miles Morales. We have the lovely Ghost Spider, aka Spider-Gwen. My favorite of all the Spider people, honestly. We have Spider Ham, voiced by John Mulaney, one of my favorite comedians, actually. Nick Cage voiced Spider-Noir. Haley Steinfeld had Spider-Gwen. We had the Asian Spider. What was her name?
Pee Wee Parker. We could be getting it wrong.
Yeah,
Renee Parker. Uh,
yeah, definitely an anime s Spider-Man, which I love. And then we had of course uh, the disheveled Spider-Man, played by what's his name? He was Nick in New Girl.
Jake Johnson.
Yeah, Jay Johnson. I love voice casting in this show was amazing.
Yes, and also not to leave out, there were some pretty heavy hitters as well with some of the secondary characters, such as Mahershala Ali is the Ultimate Prowler. Brian Tyree Henry, who plays Paperboy in Atlanta, is Jefferson Davis, and Levi Schreiber is was the Kingpin. So how did you feel? So okay, let's just what were some of your favorite parts of the movie? Oh, and
Honestly,
also, oh, and before, sorry, and Shamik Moore, who's from Dope, The Get Down, a lot of other stuff. He was the voice of Miles Morales.
Childish Gambino's not in this one, is he?
Nah, he is not.
That's the only mistake I think they made, just because Childish Gambino is like one of the reasons why Miles Morales actually exists.
But who would he have played?
I don't know. He once voiced Miles Morales in a cartoon once, but like Miles Morales was like based off of Childish Gambino. That's the only thing that I would say, just because he'd be important to do. Um, what was your question? My favorite scenes, when the first Spider-Man dies and they're having that funeral, that did hit me.
Yeah,
That hit me. That hit me pretty hard. And I'm not one to cry in movies, but I was like a couple. If they didn't have that joke at the end about like I don't think they're talking to you, I might have bawled out in that theater.
yeah, and so my favorite part was just seeing Stan Lee, when he was selling the costumes. Rest in peace to the GOAT Stan Lee, and that was just really powerful because he said anybody can be Spider-Man under the mask, which was a big thing to drive home, especially with different Spider-Mans from and Spider people just from different universes coming to save the day, and that's just that's really one of the reasons why Spider-Man is like my all-time favorite character, just because regardless of who you are, you see a part of yourself in Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Another favorite part for me was just the scene when Jefferson Davis goes to Miles's door at his like school, and he's like talking to him, and he's like, you have that spark, and basically giving him the passion and the power and the motivation to ascend to that next level and become the Spider Person who he the Spider Man who he's supposed to be.
yeah, definitely a lot of powerful scenes. I think the Stan Lee cameo, I think it's a cameo that's powerful because like it's powerful because he died, and I think it's one of the cameos because they had to have animated that like years before he even uh was where he is now. So I think it's one of the few cameos that I think will um push people and like reach people so deeply. And I also think it's probably the last, if not close to the last, if we're not getting to the countdown of Stanley's cameos. I think at best the last one can be Avengers Endgame. And so I
Yeah,
think that's something that's special.
yeah, no, yeah, it just seeing Stan Lee and like just everything he represented, that just made sense. One of the things that I did not like I get it because it's an origin story, but one of the things I did not like was them having Miles run around in a Halloween costume. I was like,
That
y'all did not have to play my boy like that. Especially after they went to like Aunt May's house and she had like the spider bunker. Also another interesting thing. Well, not interesting. What? Okay, so what universe do you think the alternate Peter Parker came from?
I don't know. They
Cause
didn't say
I
that.
was trying because it's not. I don't think it's the 616 universe. I mean, it could be because that's where it's from. Kind of. That's where the Peter Parker and the Spider Verse is from. But I would not be surprised just because he's basically like a fat loser who lives in like a den basically, and this and the spider and him going to an alternate reality was the most exciting thing that's happened to him, and it also gave him more of a purpose to know like with great power comes great responsibility, and although that is driven home, it's just I felt like that was something that over the years as Spider-Man as Peter Parker as he like watched his life fall apart and MJ left him and Aunt May died. It's just like I felt like that was something that left his mind, but him seeing the ambition and the drive and the willing to learn from Miles reignited that.
Yeah, definitely a good idea for a mentor for this movie. He definitely was part of the heart of this movie. Um, it's interesting watching this film and seeing Miles Morales come to be this Spider-Man person because one of my other favorite scenes was when he awakened his inner Spider-Man and he went and he got the suit and he did that very cinematic jump where he's like falling down into the city and you see him become the Spider-Man he's meant to be, and you see all these other Spider-Mans, and you see what they're living up to and what they have to do. And I think one of the other messages that they sort of hammered home in this movie that I think sort of hasn't been explored a lot in Spider-Man mythos, to my extent, of course, is just that ideal that Spider-Man always just gets back up, no matter how hard you hit him. And they make a big deal about this. They show not just Peter Parker get hit. They show Gwen Stacy get hit. They show Pepper, whatever Asian PP. They show PP get hit. They show Noir get hit. They show Spider Ham get hit. And they show each and every single one of them get hit. And you have that very in depth scene where they're pushing where they're pushing Miles and they're like, do this tech thing, solve this problem, fight this thing. And you see him panic. You see him just go, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. And they're just like, no matter what, you got to get back up. And I think that is something about the Spider-Man mythos that I think people know, but I think it's not as important as like with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. The ideal that even if you do have this great power, when you get knocked down, you have to stand back up.
Yeah, no, that isn't pushed in the mythos as once. It's more of like an unwritten rule, like Spider Man never stays down. But I do also liked how they did push that. Just like overall, this was just a great, phenomenal movie. And the one critique that I would have would be I wish Silk was in the Spider Verse movie just because Silk was a major part in the original Spider Verse crossover that happened in Marvel a few years ago, and seeing her would have been a dope thing. Another not just another critique, but another just like I don't know. This was just like a power like for an animated film. Like I was telling you in the theater, like, oh, this is a bunch of like kids previews, and I came here to see Spider Man. I came here to see like a film kind of tailored towards my audience, but not really. But I feel like this is like a all ages type of film that just speaks to like everybody basically, like from regardless of your age. like the Marvel from 8 to 80. So I think it really is just like it was just a phenomenal movie from start to finish. And I believe it was one of the best superhero movies that have come out in the past 5 years.
Definitely one of the best superhero movies to come out in the past couple years. Like, I know it's become sort of a dead horse that people say, "Oh, well, all these films are starting to feel a bit the same," and they are to a certain extent. There are certain changes, but I think this one is my favorite because it's just a pure celebration about both comics and about what it means to be Spider-Man and like um, never giving up. My hopes for this movie are honestly, of course, I want it to do well. I want a sequel to this pretty much as soon as possible. And from what we've seen in the movie, it seems like they're teasing a little bit of some sequel potential. I would also love more Marvel movies done in this art style. I'd love to see more comic book movies done in this art style, even if not just Spider-Man, but if Marvel would be able to lend Sony Pictures their some of their IP because it's honestly beautiful. And like that last scene where they're in that machine and they just Sony, you could just tell Sony just said, "Okay, guys, uh, just go crazy. Just animators go crazy. Do whatever you want. We don't care. Just make sure everybody knows what's going on." And they do, and they go crazy. And you see the art styles of all of them, and it reminded me honestly of the art style from Gwen, Spider-Gwen's comics, that more neon type of look, which I love because honestly, Spider-Gwen, honestly, to in my opinion, has the best Spider-Man suit. She does, and I just this movie should be a stepping stone for more, is what I would like to say. I'd like to see this movie be used for more exploration. I'd love to see a Champions movie in this art style with Kamala Khan, one of my favorite heroes, and probably Nova. I think they'd have to use some other. They'd probably have to mix up some things, but definitely want to see more in this art style.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. After seeing this movie, one of the major things I pointed out was this could be a way that DC introduced some of their newer characters, such as Jessica Cruz and Simon Bass with the Green Lanterns, and have them say, "Hey, these are the new Green Lanterns," and have basically do like the Green Lantern's corpse, not on like a live screen, but through animation as well. I feel like that could be a great thing to pursue. DC, if you are listening, please know that I do want a piece of my cut for this. And also, I would say I wouldn't want to beat a dead horse. Like I like the Spider-Man just because I like Spider-Man in this type of video in this type of medium just because it makes sense for a character like Spider-Man. No, it makes sense for a character like Miles Morales just because he's new, he's fresh. Not a lot of people know him, but it would not have worked with like 616 Peter Parker, or even like even like now like even like Iron Man or Captain America, it just wouldn't work. Uh, no. Another thing I did not like was the teasing of a relationship between Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales. Like I know they kind of had like a thing in the
They had a
comics,
thing, and they
and
got married in one world.
yeah, and the comics, but it's just like, come on, Miles is like still learning his powers. Like how can he learn his powers in like a girl? Like, come on, let's.
Hey man, let's face it, that has never stopped a man once.
Yeah, that was just another drawback. But then when she was like friends. So moving forward, you said you would want a sequel of these. Would you? I actually was thinking about this as we left the theater, and I was thinking of like having like a sequel, but through the like through the story of like maybe somebody else, like not Miles this time, but through like Spider-Gwen or through like Black Noir or through like Spider-Pig.
I think if they did a sequel, the only two options I could see them going with was number one, and probably the most likely would be Spider Gwen, just because she's the easiest one. Like that art style, like I said, does tend to her world. Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Ham are they're just sort of joke characters that's kind of difficult for you to adapt that sort of art style to their worlds for a long period of time and make a feature-length film and not make it seem confusing or get boring. The other way I could see it was in the end credit scene when they had the advanced Spider-Man. What was his name? The precursor to Miles Morales.
Oh, Miguel.
Yeah, I think he could also be another way they do a spin-off in the Spider-Verse world. So my big guesses for like a sequel would either be a Spider-Gwen or Miguel.
No, I think that was I think Miguel would be the best bet. Miguel O'Hara. And that post credit scene was so hilarious, just seeing them do like the Spider-Man meme, and that was just very funny to see like Spider-Man from the Super Friends be like blah blah blah, and he was like, "Oh no, you're pointing at me." No, I'm pointing, and that was just a very funny exchange to witness.
Yeah, I love it. I'm still kind of upset about these after credit scenes. I think we need to be done with this.
Nah,
I
after
think
credit scenes are going nowhere.
I want them to go away though. Marvel's the only one still doing them. DC stopped.
Well, that's because DC doesn't have like a long plan, so
I
they
don't
just
care.
throw
Like,
stuff.
it's just you're making me sit here for nothing. Like it's just I don't know. I get why they do it, just because A, it's tradition, and B, it is a good way to get people to stay and see like how many people work on these movies. But come on, after credit scenes after like half the movie, I like it's just so long.
Yeah, I guess I hear what you're saying. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you for listening to our review of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I am your host, Marcus Flowers, at one Marcus Flowers on all social media platforms, aka Flow, aka Call Me What You Want, just don't call me lazy, and my co-host, Metro Meta 26th, on all social media platforms. We have a huge week coming up for you guys, so this is coming out on Monday. We have a Super Flow Bros podcast dropping on Tuesday. No, wait. No. Sorry, I mixed it up. So this is coming out on Monday. We have Dust Off the Cartridge coming out on Tuesday. We have Super Flow Bros on Wednesday. We have a mystery podcast dropping on Thursday, and we have either a Fantastic Floor or Metro Meta podcast dropping on Friday and Saturday. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, until next time, peace.
Every time I talk on the beat, they gon' feel it. And we ain't waiting no more, nigga, we in the building. Everybody down on the ground, one in the ceiling. Open the door, let out all the women and children. I don't know how, but nigga, we gon' get it. If I get a meal, then nigga, I'm gon' spin it. Cause if I see a meal, then nigga, we bout to get it. We don't even know the game, but nigga, we bout to win it. I keep a tight grip on their neck, it's competition. I see you got their attention, nigga, you got them listening. You could've balled out, but nigga, you had some discipline. I own homes and places you niggas visiting. Yeah, and that's a big pill to swallow, huh? I pull up in the Turbo 9, the S model. My bed sheets done seen the best models. Every night's a celebration, popping the best bottles. We got them pissed off, cause they know we the shit. They don't give feedback when they know it's a hit. If it was bullshit though, you be all on my dick. I can read between the lines, man, I know what it is. You don't wanna see me go and drop 4 on the whip, then turn around and spin 4